welcome back to the Transform You podcast with me, Paula.
And me, Nelia. Today we are going to be talking about body confidence.
Yes, and not letting your body define you.
Oh, yes.
Something we've all been very guilty of.
Oh, yes.
Let's just start then with things that would affect your body confidence. So, all the usual things that we know about. So, social media, the mainstream media, comments from friends, family.
Or even just strangers.
That's it. Words
Yeah.
that then you absorb.
Yeah.
Trauma.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been through some trauma, maybe if you have self-esteem issues, eating disorders,
Yeah.
even different cultures,
Yeah.
depending where you are, will affect how you feel about your body.
100%.
Yeah. There's a lot more to it than just feeling confident enough to go out wearing whatever outfit you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot deeper than that. And it's something I feel like I would say all my friends have suffered with at some point,
I think so.
including us.
Yeah. I think I don't know a single one of my pals that hasn't been through something to do with some form of body image or body confidence struggle.
Yeah. And that's kind of the world we sadly live in.
It's sad.
Yeah. But a nice wee word of wisdom to begin with, I know we don't usually do them at the start, is the least interesting thing about you is your body.
Yes.
Your body is a vessel that carries you through life, and you are so much more than that.
100%. I love it.
A nice wee wise word to begin with.
Love starting with a word of wisdom.
Yeah, that was quite
How
nice.
good.
I think it'll just set the tone for,
Sets the tone.
Yeah.
Starts us off nicely.
especially if you are listening to this and you are really in a bad place with your body confidence.
Mm-hmm.
It can be hard to listen to other people talk about it, because
Yeah.
when you're in the middle of it, you don't see a way out.
And often, I found this anyway, when I was finding it quite tough with my body confidence, and you're listening to people talk about body confidence, they're really comfortable
Yeah.
with their bodies, and you're kind of sat there going, huh, how?
It's
You know,
hard.
it can be quite tough.
Yes.
So we're going to try and be quite gentle with it. Mm.
And try and be quite open and honest. So it's
Yeah.
us being a wee bit more vulnerable here as well.
Yeah.
Telling about how our own experiences have
Yeah.
got us to this point, I suppose. But I mean, we've kind of touched on this in all the other episodes, and we're
Yeah.
quite open with it on social media.
Yeah.
I would say I try my best to be as honest about my body as I can, and I will share what real bodies look like, which is massive for me. If you know me from the past, or if you've listened to other episodes, I never even used to show any part of my skin. I used to try and cover my body. I was too scared to even get a picture. I was too scared to even like stand in front of a mirror and look at myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
So
I think Paula and I are both quite similar with that, where we both used to cover up, and my social media used to have no photos of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it used to always be, if it was photos with me in it, it would be group pictures. And I used to always be at the back because I'm tall. But yeah, it never used to be pictures of me.
Strategically placing yourself somewhere where you'd think, okay, this angle makes me look better, things like that. And also really allowing our bodies to completely define us.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was our
100%.
that was like the main thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But listen, if you're going through that, it's not just something that's completely down to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we just discussed, maybe you've had some trauma. We don't know what anyone's been through in their life. Maybe you have grew up in a culture where it's desirable to look a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, that's not your belief. That's what you've had put onto you by the media or other people. So maybe you grew up with your parents hating their bodies. So naturally you hate your body. Maybe you grew up with people constantly picking their bodies apart. So that was something that you done. So just be mindful of that as well. If you are someone who, in front of your kids or in front of others, you're constantly picking out your flaws or constantly picking out like, oh, this looks fat and that looks horrible. People are absorbing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when I used to work in primary school, I used to really try and be so mindful of that, because that was when also my body confidence really was at its all-time low.
Yeah.
And I had to try and be so mindful of my words about my own self, because I didn't want my trauma to be put onto them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's hard. It is hard, but I don't want them to feel
I wouldn't have
feel the way I feel.
Yeah. I wouldn't have had that awareness back then. So I wouldn't, I would not have even thought about that. All I would have thought about is, I'm just going to tell everyone how uncomfortable I feel so that then they know. Yeah. So if they think that I look terrible in that picture, like, oh, I already know that I look terrible in that picture. Like that kind of thing. Yeah. Like a defensive strategy almost. Yeah. Like, okay, well, if I put out there that I think my arm looks fat, then it doesn't matter what they say, because I've already said it. Yeah. I see. And I think loads of people do that. It's like, you feel like if I let them know that I feel insecure, then that's me also kind of protecting myself. Yeah.
It's protection.
Yeah. But it's not nice. And maybe that did affect other people, me saying that, because then I don't know if people were comparing themselves to me.
We've all done that though. Yeah. And it's hard. When you reflect on it, it's tough to reflect.
It's quite sad to reflect on. So, listen, if we can get through it, so can you. Yep. We want to be a wee bit at inspo. And that's not to say that, by the way, I look at my body every day and think, oh my God, it's perfect, because we need to let go of perfectionism. That's the very first thing. No one's body is perfect.
Perfect doesn't exist.
It doesn't. And also, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So what you define as a sexy body is your definition.
Oh, aye.
And what someone else defines the sexy body is their definition.
Yep.
I mean, I would say all bodies are sexy, but but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in this trap of, well, that's what a good body looks like, because we're all different as well. Yeah. Genetics play a massive role in it. There's some people who will never have a certain look because that's just not in their genetics, unfortunately. Yeah. No matter what. But then you also need to remember, whatever you're striving for, someone else might look at you and go, that's exactly how I want to look. We're never happy.
That's the thing, we're so hard on ourselves. Yeah. Like, the grass is always greener, and it's like, why do we do this to ourselves? We punish ourselves. And people are out there going, but that's what I want. And you're sat there going, oh, I look like this, I feel like shit. Yeah. But someone is sat there going, oh, I wish I looked like that. Yeah. I feel like shit. It's ridiculous.
And you might not believe that, by the way. If someone told me that back in the day, that other people were admiring me, I would have been like, no, they're not.
Same.
So just remember that, like, that is a possibility that that's already happening. So how do we start to work on our body confidence? We start by taking care of ourselves. Yeah. And that starts with how we speak to ourselves, all the nice things that we might do for ourselves, how we treat ourselves, how much self-love, self-care. If you haven't listened to our episode on self-love and self-care, get back there and listen. The reason we actually brought this episode on after that was because we did start talking about that a lot, but we were aware that we wanted it to be separate. Yeah. Because self-love, you're not defined by your body. We've already we've discussed that. So we thought this needs to be separate. So yes, you start all that stuff, all the stuff that we spoke about with the self-love, the self-care. How you speak to yourself really matters.
Like, going back to what we said in the self-care episode, your words are so powerful. How you speak to yourself, how you speak to others, they matter. So every single word you're saying, your inner monologue and what you're saying out loud, it makes a difference. So just like what you're saying, you saying, oh, well, my arms are big as a defensive mechanism, it matters. You're almost confirming it. Yeah. Like, to your brain. Yeah. Your arms weren't big, but you're going, oh, but they are. Do you know what I mean?
So then your brain does absorb that, and whatever you tell your brain, it takes. Yeah.
Like, and every time you look in the mirror, that's what you're seeing. Yeah. They're not, but you're seeing it. Because your brain has has already decided that they are.
Yeah, that's it. Whatever you tell yourself will show up as true to you. And that's why it's so important to work on your positive self-talk. And that doesn't mean to say that anyone's ever going to have the perfect body. That doesn't mean to say that we're not going to have negative thoughts, because we are. They're always going to be there. But it's learning actually to change them, challenge them, change them whenever they come up. And like you just said there, whatever you tell your brain, it then just confirms it. So if you constantly tell yourself, I'm worthless or I'm hideous, then that's exactly what you're going to see. Yeah. But if you actually start to change that and say, I am a beautiful person, and write down reasons why. And beauty isn't just what you see.
Physical.
Yeah. It's like right in there. It's your heart. It's the love that you give. It's the sort of person that you are. Mm-hmm. And that confirms that you're a beautiful person. So just remember that as well. Like, it's one of these ones, again, I'm trying to be aware of someone listening to this just now who can't look at themselves, and they constantly are bombarded with those negative thoughts, and they truly, truly, truly believe that they do look like that. So there's no point in trying to change it, because I've been there as well. I'm like, well, I'd be lying to myself, that kind of thing. You know, when you start this positive self-talk, it's like, okay, all I'm doing is lying to myself. That's what I used to say to myself when I started like my positive self-talk journey. I would be like, I'm just kidding myself on here. And maybe at the start you are, but it's not really lying to yourself. It's more you're uncomfortable with speaking nicely to yourself, because we are not taught to love ourselves. We're not taught to speak really nicely to ourselves. We're not taught to like say, so if you really, really do love something about yourself, just say, for example, I look at myself and I'm like, I have lovely legs. Maybe when you were younger, you said that, and someone said to you, oh, don't say that, that's big-headed.
Yeah.
So then that's when it starts. That's when it's very uncomfortable for you, because your wee inner child, someone told her, don't say that.
I was about to say, I think it's especially hard being Scottish, being British, because we live in this like society of just like stiff upper lip or whatever it's called. Just being like, well, you don't talk about yourself, you don't boast. That's boasting. Like, but we should be able to love ourselves. We should be able to be kind about ourselves.
And if you love a part about yourself, bloody flaunt it. Like, if you've got it, flaunt it. Yeah.
But if you say it out loud, then people are like, especially, the older generation.
Yeah.
It's like, now I do recognise that's probably how they've been brought up.
Yeah.
So it's not their fault, but
so we won't hate on them. We'll give them some love and kindness.
Yeah.
And they're maybe more insecure than anyone.
Yeah.
And more insecure than maybe we'll ever be.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it's all those things. So if you've ever, even if not to do with your body, just say you done really good in a test and you got an A and you're running about and you're buzzing.
Yeah.
And someone says to you as a child, like, you shouldn't be acting like that. You know, like, don't tell everyone, you'll make others feel shit.
Yes.
Like, you need to become smaller to make other people feel better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many times were you told that? Because it was, yeah.
You're told not to celebrate yourself, basically, when you're young. And again,
because you'll make other people feel bad.
Yeah. How bad is that? Yeah. That's where it all begins, though. This is where we start to pick ourselves apart. And this is where we begin to hate ourselves or just notice all the flaws that we've got, because no one ever sat us down and told us to love ourselves. It's really sad.
It actually is.
I mean, I hope this is changing now. Like, I don't have kids, but let us know in schools, is this changing? Like, I know you worked in a school. Would you say that sort of stuff's more promoted now? Do we recognise that that's been an issue?
I worked in secondary schools in the UK, and it definitely is to a certain extent. Don't know about in primary. The only primary schools I worked in were abroad, so
right, okay,
it's a bit different.
Yeah, because then the cultures kind of come into
it, and it gets quite complicated.
Yeah,
but definitely in secondary in the UK, it's changing. But
But then we've also now got social media.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And it's complicated. And I think there's also still the difference between old school teachers and new teachers coming in, and the difference in teaching styles. There's still work to be done.
Yeah, of course.
So it's not perfect.
And I think as much as now we've got social media, like we also grew up and it was reality TV. Mm-hmm. It was mainstream media. It was magazines. It was the newspapers who were constantly comparing women's bodies to each other. They were constantly, you know, taking screenshots of cellulite. So then you start to think, oh, I shouldn't have cellulite when we all fucking have cellulite.
Yeah.
Things like who looks better in that bikini, who wore the dress better. That was a big one. I remember sitting with these like teen magazines and it's like who wore it best.
Yeah.
And things like,
do you
look at her.
Also with the who wore it best, it tended to be like one person was slightly bigger.
Yeah.
I did that in air quotations, by the way.
Yeah.
And it was, when I say slightly bigger, a normal fucking body.
Yeah.
And then one person was stick thin.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's actually disgusting
and
what they did.
Get different angles, so they deliberately get you from like a really bad angle and compare you to someone who's got the perfect pose on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually disgusting what they did.
But then that's what we grew up reading. Yeah. Even things like, look at them, they've put on weight, and it would be like showing you them before, and then they've obviously like followed them, these paparazzi got on a shocking angle. So when you grow up absorbing all that, you are going to feel fucking shit about yourself. Yeah. Because then you're like, okay, that's who I'm looking up to, but if we're calling them fat and ugly, then what the hell am I? I remember I used to think that. So for example, I remember like Cheryl Cole, I used to think she was stunning, and I thought, okay, that's someone who always looks amazing. But then if I ever seen a magazine like her looking terrible or people saying that she was a mess, then that would immediately, my brain would go to, oh my God, I must be so ugly. Like that kind of thing.
Oh God.
And then you would always be reading this stuff.
Yeah. And it was all the time. Constant.
For even back then, all the people who you'd be around, they'd obviously be consuming that as well. So then they'd be formulating their own opinions. And then they might start to say things about themselves. You'd start to say things about yourself. And then it's just this horrible thing where we all hate our bodies.
And I don't know about you with sisters as well.
Oh,
I was consuming it way younger than I probably should have.
Yeah.
Because Anna was consuming it. So I could just read it as well.
Aye.
So I was consuming it way younger than I should have.
Yeah.
And so that was getting in my brain so young.
Think of it now though. So although we grew up in that generation plus social media, right? So social media is now affecting people from way younger than us.
I know.
And the thing with social media is we all compare ourselves to people on social media. We've all been there. And now we've got Photoshop galore.
Oh, I know.
We've got fucking filters. Remember when Snapchat first came out? People would rather have a fucking dug on their face than just put on their natural face, because this made them look cuter. Yeah. There's filters for fucking everything. There's filters on Snapchat,
the dug
Instagram.
Coming back. Kylie Jenner's brought it back. And it's just like, come on.
Fuck off, Kylie. Like no.
I know.
No, and this is it as well. So that's like the role models we've got. We've got the Kardashians, who you think they look so fucking perfect, but every single picture is filtered to fuck.
Yeah.
There is also these really, really scary apps that can change your face. They can make your face slimmer, your body slimmer. They can give you a waist in an instant.
They can put makeup on your face.
So,
like, they're free apps. And it's like, what?
And it's not, see if you're using them, like, don't feel bad, because loads of people are using them. And I can see why people are using them, right? I don't want that to sound like you're terrible for using those things, because let's be honest, if they're out there and you already are comparing yourself to people, of course you're going to be using them.
And if it makes you feel better, of course.
But
it's just scary that that's where
we're at. Especially with AI and all that coming in. It's so just remember.
I used to use them. I'm now in a place that I'm so comfortable in my own body that I don't, but I absolutely used to use them.
I genuinely didn't know it was a thing until recently. honestly, I was shocked when I found out that you could. So obviously I'd seen on maybe Instagram, like I follow a lot of body positive pages and things, and then people would be showing you this stuff. By the way, that's a thing. Although we all compare ourselves to things on social media, maybe start to filter out your social media. So if you're following people who you know are making you feel terrible, and it's not you being mean or anything, it's just you protecting your headspace, unfollow them. Like it's not that deep. Just fucking unfollow them if they're making you feel like.
I did that.
I've done that.
Cleanse.
Yep. You feel better, and then actually start to follow pages that make you feel better about your body. People who share what a real body looks like. People who will share actually that it's normal to have rolls and to fucking have cellulite and to not be perfect all the time. That will make a huge difference, because say for example you're the sort of person, you pick up your phone in the morning, the first thing you see is someone with the perfectly filled lips, Botox in their head, they've used one of these filters. That is you first thing in the morning when your brain is more susceptible to be taking things in. You're consuming that, and then you scroll, and then you come to someone's perfect house, and then you scroll, and you come to someone who had a baby last month and now she's like that again. Like, do you know what I mean?
I know.
You are going to be feeling shite. So the difference is then if you maybe don't go on your phone first thing in the morning, you have a wee bit of time for yourself, a wee bit of self-care. But then maybe when you do pick up your phone, you have a wee scroll, what you see is real bodies. What you see is people showing you what it actually, what we're all like. You know, we all have pores. We all have wrinkles. We all have rolls. We're human.
Genuinely, you think it doesn't make a difference. Because I used to think these people are talking shite. Like I really thought it's not going to make a fucking difference. Me seeing quote unquote real people on, like, that's what I used to think when I say quote unquote. I just think, oh, fuck it, like seeing real people on Instagram, it's gonna
body positivity.
It's gonna make fucking no difference to my mental health. It does. I see when I did a full clear out of who I was following on Instagram, on all my social medias. And I started following real people and body positive people on Instagram and everything. Oh my God. It really did make a difference.
Yeah, it does.
And it's not like life changing, but it slowly just starts to chip away at that little voice in your head.
Well, of course it'll stop comparison, because if, for example, you're comparing the fact that when you sit forward and you have rolls, by the way, we all do. Right? It's skin. Right, if you're comparing that to someone who they've never shown a bit of roll ever, then you're losing that comparison because they're not there anymore, right? So you're not seeing that anymore. So it's just like you take yourself away from that. Like, stop following the people and be fucking savage about it. And what I mean by that is, see if even it is your pals who are being like really fake like that and they're making you feel really shit, even just mute them. If you think, okay, I don't want to unfollow them because that's a bit fucking awkward, mute them. You can do that. You can mute people.
Protect your headspace.
Yeah, definitely. And what we need to remember is, see these people also that are, you know, doing these things to their bodies and their faces. Remember to actually send a wee bit of love, because they probably are feeling so fucking shit about themselves as well. Like, I don't think people are meaning it for badness. I don't think anyone's doing that going, I'm going to make people feel shite. Yeah, well, that's it.
And that's when I was feeling shite.
Yeah. So
like,
it's sad.
Absolutely shite.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I wasn't very good at it, but could have done some work. But yeah, it was, I felt like shit.
Listen, from this, what we can actually do as well is spend less time on your phone. It's something that we could all do.
Yeah.
Reduce your screen time. That is self-care. And put your phone in do not disturb. Even like change where your phone is sitting. Like, so for example, my phone's sitting here right now, right? Oh, there's Marley. If I know that I'm sitting today and I'm feeling really shite and I just know I'm going to keep scrolling that phone, sit your phone in the room to charge, or else even go a walk without it.
Yeah.
Or if you need your phone on you, change the widgets. See how much of a habit it is to just open up Instagram all the time. Like, you don't realise. So I could just pick this up. My thumb will immediately want to open up the Instagram tab. So I actually changed that. So my Instagram and my other social media are right at the way at the end. So if I need to go into that, I'm scrolling to get there. And it does stop
you. I have them all in a folder right at the
end.
Right at the end.
Yeah.
Like so, you have to reorganize it.
Yeah. If social media is a trigger, that's also something else that you can try. Other things that we need to do is we can't just keep blaming social media, right? Because like we always had the magazines and that. There's other things, like we discussed at the start. What we need to do is change our focus. So how do you start getting body confident? You start to think about all the amazing things that your body does for you.
Yes.
Like it is amazing. So instead of picking yourself apart, saying, look at how big my belly is, actually taking a wee moment to go, right, I have organs in there that allow me to eat, that allow me to carry a baby. Honestly, there's so much to celebrate in your body. And when do we ever get taught that either?
Oh, God, I know. I know. How bad.
Why does take the focus on how it looks and change the focus to look at all these amazing things that I can do? For years, my job was caring for people with disabilities. And if that doesn't make you feel grateful about your body, then honestly, I don't really know what else will, because when you're working with people every day who can't walk, people who can't eat, people who can't drink themselves, like there's a lot of people out there and their bodies just don't allow them to do certain things. So see if you are privileged enough to be able to walk, to be able to talk, to be able to pick up a knife and fork and eat. You're privileged. Yeah. And as much as people don't want to hear that, for me, that's massive. I used to think about how grateful I felt every day. Yeah. And some of these people who I supported and worked with were so inspiring and amazing. You know, they didn't let their body hold them back from being happy, from achieving things. And even if their achievements look different to ours, it's just amazing. Oh. So please remember that.
I agree.
Honestly, it is. Yeah. It's so inspiring working with people who rewarding. Yeah. It is. With shows like that now. Oh God.
I think I had quite a I had quite like a powerful moment when I lived in Thailand. I had one day when I was working, so I used to work in a primary school, and one of my kids in primary 2 called me pregnant because I was quite overweight. Right. Just thought I was pregnant and kept like poking at my belly, and I was traumatized after that day. And the words I was calling myself after that day were so horrible to myself. I was so cruel. And this kid, the culture in Thailand and body image are so different to here. You know,
God,
so different.
It's a way to humble you, by the way.
I had to look at it in a way of, it's not her fault.
No,
she's primary 2.
It's a place of innocence.
You know, it's a complete place of innocence. And then 2 days later, I was in hospital. I had to get an MRI. It was a full body MRI, and it was traumatic. I was in there for about 8 hours and had to be sedated. It was a whole thing. I was in so much pain. Yeah, it was. I was by myself. I'd never been through something as like traumatic. And I know it sounds like, oh, it's just an MRI. I've had loads of MRIs before, but this one was rough. And I remember lying in the machine and just thinking, do you know what? Nothing matters. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm still alive and I'm still here. Yeah. And everything's fine. And I like got out, went home, and I was lying in bed and I just thought, I don't care how I look. I'm still here and I'm still fine. I survived today. Yeah. And I'm fine. And your body got you through that. My body got me through today. Stop being cruel to... Stop it. Just stop it. And it was still such a work in progress. Aye. And it took me a good few years still to work on it. That might have been the first time you've actually realised that, though. It was the first time that I went, because that year especially, I was so cruel to myself about my body. Yeah. But that was the first wake-up call that I had, where it was, right, no, 2 days earlier you were being probably the most cruel you've ever been to yourself about your body.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, you just went, no.
Yeah.
And I remember lying there and I didn't sleep the whole night. I just was lying there going, don't ever let yourself feel like this.
Yeah.
Don't do this.
Mm-hmm. Your health is more important.
And it was a full work in progress. Obviously, I went through all sorts of journeys after that.
Yeah.
It was, as we talked about in the last episode, it was self-awareness.
Yeah. For the first time ever.
For the first time ever.
Yeah. And even as simple as getting out of bed in the morning,
mm-hmm.
you realise actually, okay, I can physically wake up every morning and step out of my own bed. And that's not to say your feelings aren't valid, because they are. You obviously feel like that for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I feel like that for a reason, and so did you. But you kind of look at the bigger picture and you start to appreciate all the things your body can do instead of what it looks like. Yeah. Because really, that's the last part about it.
Uh-huh.
I would say everything else needs to come first. You need to realise that when you're going to the gym and you're lifting weights or you're running, you're doing it for the right reason. You are doing it because you're like, my body's fucking strong, or I am so fit. For years and years, I grew up around people who were so obsessed with changing their body for whatever their own reasons were. Maybe it was their own insecurities. Like, that's maybe really sad for them, actually. But that obviously rubbed off in me.
Same. And
that's all I cared about. I was going to the gym and I was putting myself through all this exercise and eating certain ways for punishment because I wanted to look a certain way. For me, the body confidence stuff, when I started to realise all the things my body could do. So, for example, instead of going to the gym for punishment, I'd be going to the gym and then realising, oh, look how fucking strong I am. Yes. I'd never known how strong I was. And I'm really strong. And for example, running a half marathon, when I started to realise how fit I actually was, I was like, I'm going to prove to myself that I can run a half marathon. And there was a good why behind it. Yeah. Nothing to do with my body at all. Like, at not one point when I was training for that half marathon did I think, oh, I'm going to lose weight here. Yeah. Actually, it was the opposite. I put on weight because I was eating a lot more. Yeah. But that was fine, like, because I've got to a place where I'm okay with my body. Yeah. So it's recognising all those wee things as well. That if you are doing something and it is just all, yes, my body's going to change, that's not a good why. No. And that will affect your body confidence.
See, when I started yoga, that was when I fully accepted my body and fell in love with my body. I really fell in love with it because it's similar to you with the gym. I realised all the things that my body could do. And also that's kind of the principles of yoga. You really love every part of you. Yeah. And I was so mindful and all the meditation that comes with yoga, but I finally just started having this confidence within practicing, and also with cold dips and stuff. Just being around all these women, all these gals, and
building your strength.
I'd never done that before. Being able just to like strip off, be in my swimsuit, and be like, no one's looking at me.
Do you know that's a really good point, because we think about cold water therapy as building our mental strength, but see, when an environment where you can comfortably just get your clothes off and feel fine, like nobody is judging you.
Never done that before.
No,
and that's true. That was probably what I was most scared of. Yeah, was because I was like, who's looking at me? What? And no one is.
And no one is.
Like,
by the way,
shit.
I've never like put those two things together and realised that. But that is pretty power in itself. Like, you can go to an event and strip off on the lock and literally no one's judging you. No one cares what you look like.
No one cares.
And that's really good. That's a good thing to point out, actually.
And honestly, doing that has helped me so much with my confidence.
That must have helped me as well, without me even realising.
The two things, the yoga and self-love club and cold dips, that combined has helped my body confidence so much. Because I just don't care now. I don't care what people think. I'm so proud of what my body can do. Yeah. It can do all these things in yoga. It can go into the cold water for so long. Yeah. And it feels so powerful. Yeah. I love what my body can do now. Yeah. Whereas before, I used to rip it apart. And I used to judge it, and I used to...
Purely based on looks.
Whereas now I focus on what my body can do.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, see, especially if you're a woman who can have babies I know some of us aren't privileged enough for that, but if you can carry a baby, grow a baby, give birth to a baby.
I know, how good.
How amazing is your body? And I know that's something that a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
Like, once they've had a baby, they feel like their body is totally different. But wow, look what you've done.
Look at your body with love.
Yeah.
Look at it and think, oh my God,
look how amazing
I've grown
is that?
a human. I've actually grown a human and gave birth to it.
Wow.
I know, it kind of freaks me out.
I don't know, same. Like, I'm not broody or anything like that. I've never thought. But I just think that's a really cool thing to look at. Or even all the times that you've got like a wee cut.
Yeah. And it heals.
Your body heals that.
I know, crazy.
If you've got a cold or the flu, your wee cells are fucking fighting to get you better.
I know.
See, when you really tune into all that stuff,
like, you have to look at it different.
Deep and be like, okay, wow, look at what my body's done for me. It's like, you know when you've got a cold and you can't breathe through your nose?
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, I never took advantage of breathing through my nose before.
Oh my God, like I do that.
Like, you don't appreciate it until it's gone.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if you're, I don't know, like, I broke my toe before.
Yeah.
And see the simple pleasure of being able to go for a walk. You then go, oh my God, every day it's easy for me to go and do that.
Yeah.
When you've broke your toe or you've not got that privilege, then you can. Yeah. Like, wow.
I know, now I just look at things so different, you know.
Yeah.
It's what can my body do? And see, because I've got health issues, I'm so in tune with what my body can do.
Yeah, versus.
And I used to be looking at what it can't do. I really used to be on the flip side, so negative. Because you are in that space when you get diagnosed with things. Yeah. And you're just like, well, I can't do this anymore. I can't do that. I can't do, you know, well, I won't be able to do this anymore. I won't be able to. And once you change your mindset and flip it, you're like, well, I can do this. Yeah. I can do yoga. I can go. And it makes me feel better. And it makes me feel like this. And once you flip that mindset, you're unstoppable.
Yeah.
It's so good.
A good journaling prompt for this could be, this is something that I used to do when I was working on like changing my mindset and changing my perspective about my body. So like I've already said, one of the things that I was really self-conscious about was my arms. Okay. Yeah. So I would never show off my arms ever. You were lucky if you ever seen them, right? And I don't really know where that came from. I've never really worked that out. I don't know if that's something that now that I've spoken to a lot of other women, that is something that a lot of women are self-conscious about, right? Yeah. When I started to try and challenge those thoughts and change those thoughts, a good exercise that I had done for journaling was writing down what it was, the thought that came up. So for example, I hate my arms. They're so big and they're so manly, right? That's what I used to think. Somebody's obviously said that at some point and I've like absorbed that. And then it's like change your perspective to everything your arms can do for you. So my arms allow me to hug my friends and my family. Oh. My arms allow me to carry Marley when she's got wee tired legs. Like my arms allow me to, even just now when I'm talking, my arms are flapping about all the time when I'm talking. My arms then allow my hands to hold this microphone. Yeah. They allow me to eat my dinner. But it's even just that simple thought of, I hate my arms, but the arms that allow me to hug people. Yeah. That's fucking lovely.
How good.
There's always something right down to your feet. Yeah. Like your wee toes allow you to balance when you're doing your yoga. Oh, even so things like your eyelashes, you can always find something about your body that you do love. Yeah. That you don't even think about.
I know, it's funny when at Self Love Club, if you do like a wee gratitude thing, find something about yourself that you love, and people really do struggle. Yeah. But there's always something.
There's always something.
No, me always in the corner like
5 pages.
Always like, are you done yet?
I love myself now. I've done that at events though, and you know those really ones that prosper, and it's like hand out these wee cards. Write down 5 things that you love about yourself, and people kind of look about or ask their pal. If you're asking your pal, then see whatever your pal's telling you. Maybe that can be what you start. So if your pal says to you, you've got gorgeous hair, the most beautiful eyes, you've got a lovely arse, you've got sexy legs, own that then. Yeah. And then just be like, okay, well, if other people are telling me this, then maybe it is true.
Yeah.
Even if at first you don't believe in it, but if people keep saying to you, by the way, Neil, you've got stunning long legs. But maybe when you were younger, someone called you big lanky long legs, and you thought,
mate, literally,
aye,
that happened.
I was the
People
same.
used to take the piss.
Aye.
People used to make fun of my height. People used to make fun of my legs. And
Whereas other people might look and go,
I'm like, I do have long legs and I love them.
You're like, I'm like a big model.
Yeah.
So it's always that perspective shift and learning to love yourself through all the wee acts of self-care, through how you speak to yourself, through what you consume. Get rid of anything that is making you feel worse.
I'm actually going to do that. A really similar, what's that word?
Exercise.
Okay, I'm going to do that exercise for my event with Louisa on the 25th.
Getting people to write down. And I always say, if you're really, really struggling, and I would have used to really struggle at this, right? So I would have used to struggle to write down 5 things that I loved about myself. That would have been really difficult for me, especially if we're talking about body confidence, right? So 5 lovely things about my body. If you asked Paula that 5 years ago, I would have been like, get to fuck, nothing.
Go away.
There's nothing good. But what you need to do is start small then. So I could recognise that actually I've got long eyelashes. So when I put on mascara, my lashes look nice. And I've got a cute wee button nose. So it was things like that I started with. What compliments would I be willing to accept? And it would be the small things.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you've got naturally nice teeth. Something like that. And then once you start to be comfortable with that, then maybe you will be like, okay, maybe I'm quite like I don't know what's an example of people. Like, maybe I do like my hips. Lovely jawline, aye.
Cheekbones. Something.
You'll start to notice.
You will find something.
But always remember, it's not just about the physical. So as much as, we do need to acknowledge that, because we should appreciate the physical as well. Start with always what your body can do.
Yeah.
And then from there, you will learn to love her. You'll learn to take care of her.
You gotta love her.
Yeah. And then you'll also inspire others. So once you actually can be once you're comfortable in your own skin, I feel like then you're more comfortable to look at other bodies with less judgment. So you're more likely to judge other bodies when you're feeling bad about yourself. And I don't mean judge in a bad way. I mean, you might look at other people and think, wow, look at their body, it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I think you just notice.
Yes.
You're just so hyper aware and vigilant of other bodies.
I used to be like that, and it'd be like, what would be the perfect body? Whereas now I genuinely don't notice anybody's.
Same.
It doesn't cross my mind.
I know.
Fair enough if someone has been really working hard and they have like this aesthetic goal and they'll put it out there, like 100% give them all the compliments. Some people do work really hard if that's what they really want to do. But I don't ever, the first thing I would have in the past been like, I would have noticed someone's body, whereas now I genuinely don't.
Yeah.
I think when you're not in that mode of comparison and you're not in the mode of suffering from body confidence, you don't notice it as much.
And that's when I kind of notice that people need a bit more self-love, is when I get, so in the past I've had compliments, I've had comments, it's not a compliment, I've had comments from people when I lost a lot of weight and I didn't lose weight because I wanted to. I lost weight because I was on a new medication. I was so ill and just lost a bunch of weight, and I looked ill. I did not look good, by the way. I just looked like gormless. And I had compliments from people being like, you look so skinny. You look so good. Oh my God, you look so skinny. Wow. It wasn't like, hey, Nelia, how are you? Like, how are things? It was, hey, you look so skinny. You look so good.
Oh.
And when that feeds into you, when you're not in a good place, it's like, oh. And see if you're not in a good place with your body anyway, whether you feel too big, too small, either way, getting comments like that, you're just a bit like, why are you focusing on what I look like first?
Then like, how are you?
And before I lost the weight, what was I?
Yeah.
I didn't look good.
And by the way, that's a good point you've just picked up on. it's not always about losing weight. Like, some of my clients really want to gain weight.
Yeah.
And people forget that. Like, people go to coaching because they want to gain weight as much as they want to lose it. So if someone is really small, or, you know, you're looking at them thinking they're quotations skinny, that's not a compliment, because you don't know what someone's going through. So just don't comment. Do not comment on people's bodies.
I know.
Why are you commenting on it?
Why are we still doing that? Why are people still doing that?
And you don't know if someone's got a disorder, or you don't know if someone has something where they really struggle to put on weight, or if they've got ill health. Like, you don't know that.
Yeah.
Equally, like you've just said, when I had lost a shit ton of weight because I was heartbroken and I couldn't eat and I couldn't sleep and I felt like fucking shit. See the compliments I was getting, being like, oh my God, you're looking amazing. And I'm like,
so good.
I feel fucking terrible.
I've never felt more shit in my life.
I'm like, I have no energy.
Like, when I was on this new medication, I was not eating because I was so ill.
Yeah.
These injections were just making me so ill. And it was like, I looked, when I tell you how ill I looked, I was like, you're saying I look good.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm thinking, I don't look good, but you're saying I look good. And see, if I wasn't in a good enough headspace, what would that have done to me?
I know.
But and same with you. It's like,
at first
you're not eating or not sleeping, and people are like, oh my God, you look amazing.
You look amazing. And you're like,
what the fuck?
Right, great. Like, oh wow.
But I'm not doing so good.
Genuinely, like, I was like the saddest I've ever been in my fucking life. Like, honestly, see, like, the lack of sleep, the lack of eating, you feel terrible. And I wasn't actually in a place of love at that point. So I had maybe like been putting on that brave face of, I'm living my best life, you know, like, woohoo, look at me. And I was like really thin because I wasn't eating, and I couldn't go to the gym because I had no fucking strength. Like, it was after that I started, obviously, my own self-love journey and appreciate my body for everything that it does. But honestly, I'm like, wow, I even look back to that and I look at the pictures and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm looking great there.
Yeah.
But that's a mask that's on that person. And to be honest with you, I feel much better about myself now, because it's not about my body. It's about how I feel. It's not about how I look.
And then I get it. See, because by the way, weight fluctuates.
Always, by the way.
It's a fucking normal thing.
Yep.
It drives me mental.
Weight will obviously change on what season you're in your life as well. So if you've got a new relationship and you are constantly going out for food and that's what you do, you're going to put on weight. Yeah. Equally, if you are on holiday, you're going to come back and you're going to have, if your period is due, you are going to gain weight. And it's not weight. When we're saying we gain weight here, we don't mean fat. Yeah. We mean your body will hold on to water. You will look more bloated. Yeah. It's normal. It's normal bodies. It's really, really difficult to be happy with yourself, because you've always got conflicting advice, or you've got conflicting ideologies. People tell you should gain weight because you need to have curves and a big arse. People tell you need to lose weight because you need to have a ripping six pack and skinny arms. You'll have people who tell you that the best diet you can go on is only eating meat. Then you'll get the other people that tell you the best diet is being vegan. You'll also get people who tell you the best workout you can do is cardio. You'll get people who tell you the best workout you can do is strength. And they all relate this back to your body in some way. Yeah. And it's just far too much. Yeah. And no wonder people have fucking body confidence issues when there's all this different shit advice being dished out left, right and centre. And instead of actually focusing on how does this make me feel, they tie it to this is how you're going to look. Yeah. It was a really good point that we have not raised. Do not let your body confidence be defined by fucking sizing. And unfortunately, a lot of these things are marketed and designed to make you feel shite. Yeah. Like, they really are. And that's another separate toxic issue. A lot of this stuff is deliberate, like, to make you feel bad, to make you want to going
it's
dieting.
ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. So listen, you are not your clothes size. It is just a fucking number. Go with what you look at and go, maybe that'll fit me.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, go and choose another size.
Exactly.
Like,
and if they don't have your size, because that has happened to me so many times. I'm also really tall.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
things just don't fit me anyway. Don't be disheartened.
Yeah.
Just go, not meant to be. Gotta find something else, or I'll find it online.
But that's a good point. So
do you know what I mean?
We all have different sizes, as in lengthwise. We all have different boob sizes, shoulder width. So how can someone say to you, that's what a size 10 is?
Oh God, it's actually fucked up.
It is when you really, when you really think about it. So there's these really good images that you can actually search online, and it's like different weights versus like the clothing size.
Yeah.
So for example, just say 80 kilograms. It'll look so different on so many people.
Yes. Oh, I think I know. Yeah.
Hopefully as well, this has helped you actually realise that you are more than how you look. You are so much more than that. You are a lovely human. When people call you beautiful, they mean inside and out. Oh. Okay, what have we not had today? We have not had a wee self-love affirmation, and I'll be honest, a self-love affirmation, Nelia, is needed for anything to do with this, I would say, because that is a big part of learning to speak to yourself better. Right, have you got a poem for us?
Hold on. Yes, I do. Right. It's called Me.
Oh, we've had you, and now we've got me.
Yeah. The title's TBC, but we'll go with it. I am not a problem to solve, nor a project to perfect. I am a story unfolding, worthy of every chapter. I don't have to be smaller or quieter or anything other than who I am right now. I stand tall in the space that I occupy, unafraid to take my place in this world. With every breath, I make the declaration, I am free, I am loved, I am enough.
Oh.
Cute, cute, cute.
Thank you. That was
You're
lovely.
welcome.
And it's a nice wee one to finish on, talking about body confidence, because
you are enough, lassies.
Yeah, you're beautiful. And you're more than your body. Your body is beautiful and it does great things for you, but it's a lot more than what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's all the things that it does for you. And we hope that you take a wee bit of inspo from this. And if you do, please let us know. As always, we love to hear from you. We love the messages. We love everything about it. Like, it's so nice, and we're so grateful for all of you listening.
Yeah. I hope this one wasn't too deep or too emotional. I don't know.
I know. Yeah.
I think it's important to have these.
Yeah, it definitely is, especially when it's something that has majorly affected us at some point, and many others that we know.
Aye.
I would say most of my friends have been through this.
Yeah. Same. 100%.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you so much.
And we hope you will stick around for the next episode.
Yes.
Keeping a wee secret, but
always.
Yes, thank you again. We love you. Oh.